Hello everyone, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome to Spa-Francorchamps, where we've been waxing lyrical about the fact that the weather conditions here at Spa-Francorchamps have, up until now, been very un-Spa-like. However, famous last words, because things have changed for the worse. I'll tell you more in a moment. So just a few images then of the surrounds, and indeed Spa-Francorchamps. Our 2023 calendar, as you can see, has taken us from Spain to Italy, to Austria, to France, to Portugal, and here to Belgium, before heading off back to Italy for the Finale Mondiali right at the end of October. So, as I was saying, the weather has taken something of a turn for the worse. It's just begun to drizzle a little bit. Just at the start of preparations for the Coppa Shell race. Please follow us on @Ferrari Races, and that could really knock things into a slight cocked hat, as it were. Air temperature is still 22 degrees, track temperature is 26 degrees. Now, the thing is, with 7 kilometers of track, whilst it might be drizzling in on the start-finish straight here, it could be altogether somewhere different. The weather conditions could be altogether different. So, well, what's it like down there at the moment, Ludovica? The drizzle's still coming down?
Good afternoon, guys. With turn 8 behind me, the Rivage, we are ready to start this race 1 of Trofeo Coppa Shell. There is a weather that which is in continuous changing. A few minutes ago start rain here at Spa, and for this reason I want to show you the particular asphalt there is here in Belgium, with this texture, with this line for drain it better the rain and the water. But I wanted to hear the expectation for this race from the 3rd position with Axel Sartingen. For him, this race is very, very important because it's a decisive round for the standing and for the championship. So, Axel, good afternoon. Congratulations for this 3rd position. Today is very, very important for you. What do you expect even with this weather?
Yeah, we have changing conditions. We have a little bit wet, we have a little bit slippery, so it will be an exciting race. I have to be a little bit careful. I want to do the last points I need for the championship, and I can say to win the championship is not that easy like it looks. You have to have everything. You have sun, you have heat, you have everything, and in the last minute you have rain. So you really have to be ready for everything, but that makes the excitement of the Ferrari Challenge, so it's great.
And Axel, I'm sorry, but I want to ask you something about the manage to the tires. What type of tires do you choose with your team and with your coach?
Yes, I think the rain is light and it's still warm, so I take slick tires, I take the race tires, and I think my competitors do the same. The rest doesn't make sense. I think it will dry very, very soon, and hopefully I'm right. If it starts heavier to rain, I'm not in the good position, but we will see.
Thank you for your time.
Thank
Axel.
you.
And have a good race. Okay, continue for the pit, and I want to hear the expectation and the emotion from the poleman, Roger Gruwels, who took the pole in this morning. For him, is a very important result in a difficult track here in Belgium. So, I'm sorry. Can I? Thank you. Roger, congratulations for the pole. What do you expect from this race and from your opponents today?
Yeah, good to be back on pole position. First, 3 years ago, I had only one time the pole, and everything after I have to manage in the race. So pole position is a good opportunity to start at the right side of the circuit. So my opponent, Kierig Meijer, I have to watch him because he is not fighting for the championship. Does he also go for a win for the day? So I hope a fair battle, and the rest we will see after.
Thank you so much. Have a good race.
Thanks.
Back to you guys.
Thank you so much. So Axel Sardigan then telling us what we kind of imagined would happen, in that the drizzle that came down, it was only a tiny amount. That has not, I don't think, altered anyone's position with regards to the tyres that they're going to run. They're going to start on the slick weather tyres. Unless we roll down the grid and we suddenly see someone that's got wet weathers on, don't imagine that is going to be the case. We think it's all going to be, or every driver is probably going to be on slick tyres. You can see the wet's being taken away. There's Manuela Gosner standing by. Manuela Gosner then going from that P5 position. Manu with the focus and concentration there. And there you can see, once again, our pole sitter, Roger Grols for Kroijmans Raceart, going from that P1 place. He has Ernst Kirkmeyer to his left-hand side going from P2, and he knows that Ernst is going to be something of a danger man. Axel Sardigan will probably go into this race thinking not necessarily about the race win, but championship connotations, of course. So that will potentially alter, may I say, Axel Sardigan's strategy for the race. We will see. So the cars all lined up on the grid here at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. 30-minute sprint race for a mix of Shell and Shell AM drivers. Shell drivers have got the yellow strip across the top of the windscreen. The AM drivers with a black strip across the top of the windscreen. So we're going to take a look at the 7.004 kilometers of the Spa-Francorchamps circuit in detail. With some 19 turns, 10 of them left and 9 of them right-handers. Forgive the pun, a real challenge for our Coppa Shell drivers, that's for sure. But it's one that they really, really enjoy. There you can see the track in all its glory. What that doesn't do is really explain the elevation changes that also form part of this wonderful and a legendary circuit that forms its way through the Ardennes region. So there we have it, and there is the grid lining up, and all the drivers standing by to get going for race one of the weekend.
It's amazing to be here. It's the big family together, everybody is here, and we hope to have nice races. The big family of Ferrari is very special. It's difficult to tell you why, but it's amazing. It's magic.
Spa is really an iconic spot. It's really one of the most fabulous racetracks in the world. And with the Ferrari, it's a lot of fun because we have so much horsepower. It's lovely to drive here, especially if it's sunny like we have it hopefully this weekend. So I really love and enjoy Spa, and this is for the third time, so even better from day to day. I like the challenge competition. Everybody has the same car. It's a very competitive competition on a high-end car with a lot of horsepower, a lot of emotions, a lot of good sound. So it's really, really good fun, and really it's entertainment, and it's very sportive.
It's passion, it's a good feeling, keeping in shape, seeing people, fun, good friends, sometimes on the podium. I can't describe it actually, it's emotion.
It's an amazing experience for me. It was top of my bucket list in racing. To even imagine racing here is incredible. And the weather's been great, so we've had a great day of tests, and I'm really looking forward to the race, but I love it here, definitely. To be a part of the Ferrari brand is incredible. I mean, that's why I'm still here. You know, I have the sports cars, I race the cars, so I just really feel very fortunate and grateful that I'm able to have a great time in these cars.
just some of our drivers expressing how they feel and what it feels like to be part of the Ferrari Challenge. Here comes the grid in full. For Coppa Race 1, Roger Grols, pole position, Ernst Kirkmayer alongside. Axel Sardigan goes from P3 with Alexander Nussbaumer P4. Manuel Gosner goes from P5, and the best of the Coppa AM drivers is Motohiko Isazaki. He goes from P6. P7 is Matthias Moser. Willem van der Poel, welcome back, Willem. He goes from P8. Then it's von Skeltermar at a position, perhaps. Henrik Kamstrup goes from P10. Christian Kinch and Eric Chung are P11 and P12. Then we find Thomas Loeflad and Guy Favet, or Guy 4 as I call him, going from P14. John Dillon and Josef Schumacher are on P15 and 16 of our combined Coppa starting grid, with Paul Hogarth and Giuseppe Romelli P17 and P18. Hogarth on the podium just a while ago for the UK series. Paul Simerson and Lisa Clark are P19 and P20. Tommy Lindreth P21, and very out of position is Kirk Beervold, having to go from P22. A welcome to Tor Haugen from the USA, P23, and Stephen Earle alongside P24. Then it is Pino Frascaro and Louis Perscoya. They go from the row 13. Row 14 contains Thomas Gosner and Werner Gent. Thomas Gosner, another driver potentially out of position for our starting grid. Alongside me, as always, is Nico Spalek.
On row 1 here in your broadcast, and indeed, yeah, we are on the formation lap, and we always say having to get the tires up to temperature, having to get the brakes up to temperature, because the first lap and the first turn, this hairpin is always crucial. And in these conditions with some extra moisture, it's extra specially important to have the car prepared for that first braking point. And it's going to be slippery, so the potential for drama is certainly there.
It's heightened. It's absolutely heightened. There's no question about that. You could just see as we were on board with Tommy Lindroth, the wiper was going, and that was not because of rain coming down. It was because the spray that was coming off the car that was in front of him on the grid, and that would have been the car of Lisa Clark. So just bear in mind that that has a factor as well. To the best of our knowledge, every driver is going out on slick tyres as we look at Fabian Volvent and Axel Jeffries there, along with Philippe Barron, all part of the Barron Motorsport organisation, which of course look after so many drivers across the Ferrari Challenge. But the focus of Fabian Volvent is very much on the car that we were on board with just a moment ago, Tommy Lindroth. You can see Roger Grols, who is weaving from side to side, as the cars will form up in grid formation, side by side, ready to go. And the safety car will peel off into the pit lane, and then as always it will be a rolling start for the Ferrari Challenge. And as Nico alongside me has said, turn number 1, La Source, which since the last time we were here with the Ferrari Challenge, the profile of that turn has changed somewhat, where once there was effectively, Nico, the safety net of a bit of tarmac runoff area, quite a lot of tarmac runoff area. That ain't there no more, it's gravel.
Yeah, absolutely, and that means the drivers who are on the outside, so left-hand side of the grid, have to be very careful not to be pushed out and hung out to dry, because, and we saw that in the Trofeo Pirelli race, even if you're not stuck in the gravel, you will easily lose 5, 6, 7 positions once you're on the gravel. Let's prepare for the start.
Yeah, stand by as the cars do grid up side by side formation behind the Richard Mills safety car. Hashtag Ferrari Challenge. We are standing by as just the bus stop chicane to come, and then we're going to be racing. The lights go out on the lighting gantry. Axel Sardigan diving to the middle of the circuit. Trying to avoid spray from Roger Grols and Ernst Kirkmayer as they head into turn number 1 for the first time of asking. Alexander Nussbaumer taking a look around the outside in the all-white car. Fingers are crossed that everyone gets through turn number 1 all okay. Von Skeltermar, you can see the back end of the car sliding around a bit. But I think every driver has been pretty cautious and pretty sensible going through turn number 1.
Yeah, all safe, and now everybody is funneling in and channeling into a single file through Eau Rouge, but they'll fan out right here on the long straight, because obviously slipstream is very much afforded to all the drivers, and especially if you've got multiple drivers in front of you, that slipstream will multiply.
So Roger Grols then going into the chicane for the first time of asking with Ernst Kirchmayr, and then Axel Sardigan, Alexander Nussbaumer, Manuel Gosner. Motohiko Isozaki is P1 in terms of the Coppa Challenge. Nico, you picked up that somebody's gone around. There's Guy Fave or Guy 4. He's gone around in the car number 120. I think you saw a car going around before that, did you not?
Yeah, it was a dark blue car. I couldn't quite out whether it was Paul Hogarth potentially, but it was certainly a big impact into the barriers. And
safety car, forgive me.
The safety car is going to come out. Yeah, that was a big incident. Didn't quite make out how it came about, but we'll surely get a replay of that. Big incident, and that safety car was inevitable.
So before even one lap is completed of the 7 kilometers here at the Spa-Francorchamps, safety car is called for, and as Nico says, hopefully we will get a replay and be able to identify who it was that went around and made contact. I'm perhaps more concerned that it could have been either Paul Hogarth or Paul Simerson, to be fair, both of whom appear to have dropped down the order, and so too has Kirk Beervold. We will see, but because we haven't completed a lap, that means that the information that we're seeing on a timing screen might not be accurate. So there you can see out of the car. Now, just looking there, oh, blast. The truck turned up just at the wrong time. So John Dillon is dropping down the order as well. So is Guy Fave. Who else is dropping down the order? Henrik Kamstrup. So I think, Nico, the all-blue car was Henrik Kamstrup, which, to be fair, the car in terms of livery looks very similar to that of Paul Simerson, which is why I was perhaps wrong-footed. Henrik Kamstrup then, I think, is the one we're still searching for that replay so that we can see what happened. But we can see that Henrik is absolutely out of the car and he's perfectly fine, reinforcing the integral safety of these wonderful 488 Challenge Evo cars.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a long straight, and they're really, really reaching top speeds at the end of that straight, and that's exactly where that impact occurred. So very good to see him out of the car. Obviously hate to see the race being neutralized under the safety car right away, but obviously safety and recovering the car and everything, all the debris which certainly is strewn across the track, is of paramount importance. That will give us a chance in just a few minutes to have another look at the start. As you said, in the shell, it's Groels, Kirchmeier, Sartingen in the M's, Isozaki, Matthias Moser, and Josef Schumacher, P3 in the M class.
That's the way it looks at the moment, but of course we are behind the safety car, which is leading the cars away. We come under the control of the safety car, so quite clearly no overtaking. The car's speed is reduced. Let's take a look here. So at the end of this straight then, try and pick out quite what happened here. I think Henrik Kamstrup was just on the outside, and I think with a wheel on the grass or so, and the car speared across and then into the barriers. And yeah, big frontal impact there, where the car did exactly as it's designed to do, absorb the energy and the impact, and that's why you saw Henrik out of the car and absolutely okay. Let's go into various garages here so that we can see. There's Giorgio Sonagiotto, who is responsible for driver coaching Manuela Gosner and indeed other members of the Gosner family, and you can see data being looked at and also images being looked at around the garages as well. So it's going to be a couple of moments, I would have thought, and there you can see the cars are actually being driven through to avoid that incident area where the debris is, and also the car is being recovered. So they're shortcutting there at the Les Combes chicane, which leads to Malmedy, of course, turns 5, 6, and 7. And they're shortcutting that behind the safety car to avoid the recovery operation which is going on. The information we have is that Henrik Kamstrup is perfectly okay. Here comes the start sequence then. Let's see it all over again. Unfortunately, we didn't get to complete one lap, but as you can see, Alexander Nussbaumer was brave around the outside of Ernst Kirchmeier initially. And it was here. Willem van der Vorm got hung out to dry a bit. He was wide, and just all the cars trying to avoid the gravel trap, which does exactly that. It traps you in the gravel. rather than give you the slingshot when you used to be able to get almost something of a little bit of an advantage with the tarmac there, depending upon where you were and what you were trying to achieve, because you could run out there and just carry quite a lot of momentum, Nico.
Yeah, absolutely. And you could see that several of the cars who went onto the curbs had trouble getting the throttle down, because obviously, even with that little bit of rain, the curbs are especially slippery, and we could see that with quite a few of the competitors who were on the outside. They struggled in picking up the same speed as the drivers on the inside line.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So we ride on board with the Richard Mills safety car, then Roger Grolzoen's Kirchmeier Axel Sartingen. For the Coppa Shell drivers, for the AM drivers, it's Motohiko Isosaki, Matthias Moser, and Josef Schumacher, who are the top three in Coppa Shell. So, I'm sorry to say, I don't think this safety car is necessarily going to be the work of a moment, because having seen in replay the impact of Henrik Kamstrup into the barriers, it kind of looked like they were, yeah, there was quite an impact. I suspect there's quite a lot of debris stricken across the tarmac there. Just interesting to see that neither Paul Hogarth nor Paul Simerson, Nico, and I'm just looking at the timing screen versus the graphics we can see on the left-hand side of the screen, are not deemed to be running. In fact, we've got pit lane's symbol against both Paul Hogarth and Paul Simerson. Now, given that they were in a race just a few moments ago for the UK series, I'm absolutely not sure. I can't remember whether we saw them on the grid. Yeah, I'll try and get to the bottom of that and find out exactly what happened. So, what I was trying to say, Nico, was whether Paul Hogarth and Paul Simerson actually took the start of the race or not, because, as I say, they were both racing in the UK series, which concludes here at Spa. Not sure I saw them on the grid.
Yeah, it is possible. I didn't quite make out that we had any competitors missing, but
right.
With almost 30 cars, unfortunately, that can get lost in the shuffle. And there is another replay, I think, from Tony Lindroth's point of view, and very left-hand side on the screen. I think that we could see a little bit of debris coming off, and at the beginning of that incident, when Henrik Kamstrup, I think he touched the back of one of the cars in front of him, right, before veering to the right, and it's difficult to speculate from that point of view.
Yeah, Race Control, thankfully, have got lots and lots of different camera angles and, of course, data available to them as well. And there you can see all the debris being thrown across. But that is the best picture that we could see, and that's Henrik Kamstrup absolutely perfectly okay and out of the car. Incidentally, whilst we're watching that replay, and great to see Henrik out of the car, also see that Kirk Beervold has stopped as well. Now, we did see another incident, didn't we, when I think it was Guy Fawkes had gone around. Don't think that was necessarily anything to do with that incident. And Guy has dropped down to being just ahead of Thomas Gosner. So, yeah, we're trying to pick out the pieces of what we saw. And in fairness, we didn't even have one lap. So here we can see.
Yeah, exactly. And there in the background,
there's Kirk Beervold. And he did make contact there. So that the 124 car of Kirk Beervold. So thanks very much, Frank, for our friends in the OB truck. And that was, as you say, Nico, because you're carrying speed, and there is Guy Favre going around as well. So that really answers all the queries we had. Poor Tommy had to run over quite a lot of that debris, and there's the Guy Fawkes car having gone around. So yeah, thanks to our friends in the OB truck and our TV crew who have been able to sort of give us all the replays so that we can continue to tell the story as best we can and be as accurate as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, we already are in 10 minutes into this race and haven't been able to bring you all the excitement that the Ferrari Challenge generally provides us with. It is a little bit of a procession behind the safety car, but naturally...
Particularly when you can see that the fastest lap is a 4-minute 19.677 behind the safety car.
It's almost as fast as I could drive it with a rental car, but there we are. And obviously safety and the fact that at that very juncture, which is the braking zone into that chicane, you can't have any debris left on the track. It would be just too dangerous, and therefore all the track crew are doing a great job in terms of getting the track ready for a raceable condition, but it will take at least one more lap behind the safety car. And that's where 7 kilometers can be extremely long, even longer than they feel otherwise. As we see a nice aerial shot from the drone towards the bus stop, and the cars channeling here through that pinch point of the circuit. Right-hand side, you see the entry into pit lane.
So the car's heading up then from our on board with our drone into Lassas, turn number 1, which, as we said right at the start of the program, is somewhat different now because of the gravel trap that you have. There's Willem van der Vorm and Eric Chung, and Thomas Loflad and John Dillon all coming through. And there you can see to the right-hand side of your picture that new gravel profile there is there, rather than the tarmac that was there previously. So there we are. We're still behind the safety car with no news coming from race control as to when we're coming out of the safety car period, and I fear it's going to be a few moments before we do that because there was quite a lot of debris to clear up. Okay, right now let's take a look at this feature then. The Cine Challenge. Thank you. And we stay on board with the Richard Mills safety car then. And safety car period is under investigation. Forgive me, Nico, you read the sporting regulations and the rule books as part of your bedtime scenario. Safety car is coming in this lap. Can you please tell me in less than 30 seconds what means the safety car period under investigation?
Well, in general, that could mean that there has been an overtake under the safety car. That we will find out, and certainly race control will give us the details, but that is most likely the scenario.
Okay, so safety car period under investigation explained by Nico Spalak. Ludo has someone for us very quickly.
A quick interview about the perfect start of Roger.
Yeah, it was a good start. Even with the colder tires, he could manage his place. And now it's waiting until safety car will come in and to continue the race.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
So safety car is coming in at the conclusion of this lap, which is a fair distance up the road, to be fair. But as you can see, the lights have gone out. Safety car is escaping up the road, and Roger Goals will be leading the cars away. And almost half the race has been behind the safety car. So 15 minutes and a half remain on the clock. There is Von Scott.
Yeah, and he's one of those who, obviously, for whom this safety car phase is especially frustrating because he has to catch up, he has to overtake Axel Sartingen and put some distance between himself and Axel in the championship because Axel is in a really, really good position. So having to spend half the race with nothing to do and no chance to improve must be frustrating. So, but there's nothing we can do. There's nothing he can do. So 15 minutes or just under 50 minutes remaining. It's going to be a single file restart, and I think Roger Gross has given it the footfall.
I think you're right. As they head towards the bus stop chicane, Roger Grols has broken out away from Ernst Kirchmayr to a degree. I think the gap to Ernst Kirchmayr and Axel Sartingen is a little bit closer, but those three have also broken away a little bit from Alexander Nussbaumer as we go back to green flag with just under half the time duration remaining for our Coppa Shell race. There you can see Alexander Nussbaumer under some pressure from Manuel Agosner and also potentially Fons Skelterman. Those three that are chasing down the P5 and P6 places, or actually trying to get on terms with Alexander Nussbaumer, who is P4. That was that little battle that we were watching. Motohiko Isasaki and Matthias Moser are P1 and P2 in the AMs, and they've got a cushion, if you like, of some 4 cars ahead of the next AM driver as Fons Skelterman to the outside of Manuel Agosner as they head up to the chicane. Now, is Fons Skelterman far enough ahead of Manuel Agosner? Alexander Nussbaumer is in that mix as well, and Fons just bounces across the curbs here. And you know what? He's done it, I think. So, he got the benefit of the draft off the back of the Manuel Agosner car, which gives you an extra bit of speed, if you like, and he was absolutely committed to that. He had confidence in the grip available to him. So that is good news for Fons Skelterman as he goes past Manuel Agosner. And what is there, Nico? There's a gap there of, or rather a speed advantage of
almost over 5 kilometers per hour, and
wow.
that just gives you an indication. 248.3 versus 243.2 for Manuel Agosner. That is the combined slipstream of the cars in front of him.
So that is the draft advantage, effectively.
Absolutely.
So there is Fons. I have to say that was a really, really brave move and good driving from both of them, because Manuela gave Fons plenty of racing room, and he had to be prepared to really nail his colours to that operation, and he did. He kept his foot in and was utterly determined. Well done, Fons. Great overtake. So Kirkmeyer, Sardigan, P2 and P3. Then it's Nussbaumer, now Skelterman and Manuel Agosner. And well, just as we're extolling the virtues of Fons Skelterman, he gets a drive-through penalty for overtaking under the safety car. Now, I have to say, Nico, I didn't see that any more than I saw the fact that Thomas Loflad, I think, has been awarded the same, in that he's got a drive-through penalty for overtaking under the safety car. Now, that was presumably just as the safety car came out. You and I didn't see that, but it just undoes all the good work that Fons Skelterman just did, Nico.
Yeah, and as you say, it must have come just when the flags were out and the boards were out, and he was still in the process of overtaking. And
rules are rules.
Rules are rules, and sometimes you're being caught out at that moment. And certainly, race control will have looked at it 2 and 3 times and will be sure about their decision. And obviously, that is very unfortunate for him. And that is very unfortunate for the 159 car.
That is Matthias Moser, who was in a very good position. He was P2, and I'm sorry to say, Nico, where that car is beached, that means that with 11 minutes or so, unless they can deal with that with a localized yellow.
He was still with 2 wheels on the tarmac, so there may be a chance for him to recover from there. If not, then certainly that's a safety car. So we will see.
Well, what that's done is elevated Giuseppe Romelli, I think, into P3 in terms of. I just don't think that car is moving, Nico.
No, it doesn't look like it. Sometimes we get.
Look at the depth, forgive me, the depth of the back wheels, which of course are the driven wheels. Very, very deep into the gravel there. I'm sorry to say. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a long recovery operation, but I'm not sure that's going to get going under its own steam under this localized yellow at turn number 1, La Source.
No, but we'll find out fairly soon, because they're approaching the final sector, and if they throw out the safety car, it has to probably be in the next 15-20 seconds. Fons Skelterman on the inside of Nussbaumer, he knows Skelterman will have to take a drive-through penalty, so
yeah, wasn't defending that, was he?
He's just letting him go. No safety car indication for the time being, so maybe they feel with 10 minutes remaining they can leave it at a localized yellow. In fairness, the speed isn't very high coming through the hairpin, so it's not irresponsible to think that.
Well, Matthias
putting it across the track.
Let's see, on board we ride here with John Dillon. Ooh. Well, in fairness, that looked like the Josef Schumacher car completely outbraked into turn number 1 and collected Matthias Moser, who safety car we get called now. I have to say, from what we saw there, it looked like Josef came from a long way back, and Matthias was actually from our angle that we saw there was something of an innocent bystander.
True, although it almost looked like that was early in the turn, and the incident was a little bit later. Wasn't quite able to patch those two shots together, but in any event, with 9 minutes remaining, and having already spent 15 minutes behind the safety car, even if it's only 1 or 2 laps, and that's
Pino Frescaro gone round.
It's probably still slippery on the curbs, even after that little bit of drizzle. It still affects the drivers and still affects the grip levels. And it will affect the grip levels even more when the tires get cold under and behind the safety car. So Roger Groves had a very, very solid lead, and that all counts for naught. It's only going to be a sprint towards the finish line. But
yeah, that's for sure. And the thing is that these tires, they go through heat cycles, don't they? You get them up to, actually, I'm not even sure that they've been up to optimum temperature yet, because we didn't even complete a lap right at the beginning of the race. So who knows? There's Motohiko Isosaki. He's P1 for Coppa Josef Schumacher was P2, is P2 for Coppa. Then it is Giuseppe Ramelli. That's the way it looks. Now, the incident involving cars 159 and 188 is under investigation. Now, 188 is definitely Josef Schumacher, Nico.
Yeah, definitely. And he is now running in P2 in the AMS. And I dare say that may change. And the standings in the AMS are Motohiko Isozaki, that's pretty safe. Josef Schumacher, that's perilous. Giuseppe Ramelli, P3. Tommy Lindroth, P4. And the Tommy Lindroth fan club will clamor for some penalty to come.
Of course.
Good thing that the Tommy Lindroth fan club doesn't make the decisions, but it's our friends next door, literally next door in race control, who are making those decisions, and they're the very informed and neutral ones. As we have a moment behind the safety car, coming into this race, as the safety car will come in at the conclusion of this lap, Axel Sartingen had a 59-point lead over von Skeltema with 40 points remaining after this race. I don't think there is a big chance that von Skeltema or Manuel Agostner, who is a further 7 points adrift, will make up that. So the Axel Sartingen fan club are getting their flags ready, because we might crown a champion in Coppa.
We will see. There's Roger Groves, safety car coming in at the conclusion of this lap. As indicated on our timing screen, so we know that to be a statement of fact, as it were. Lights are still on, but the lights will go out, which will warn the drivers. Now, Roger Groves has already broken away a bit from Ernst Kirchmayr, but they will bunch up. It will be down to Roger to control the pace of the restart. There you can see him weaving from side to side, and Ernst Kirchmayr does catch up, and the Richard Mills safety car disappears up the road. We're not going to get many laps of racing, that's for sure, in this Coppa race. Maybe 2, 3. It's all guesswork on our part, and of course it all depends on what happens between now and there's Fabian Vollvend and Axel Jeffries. We can see 2 driver coaches in there, and well, as you say, as the race controller taking a look at the Josef Schumacher Matthias Moser incident, that could play nicely into the hands of one Mr. T. Lindroth. I am here. Right, Roger Groves gives it 100%. I think it was good anticipation of when he was going to go for it from both Ernst Kirchmayr and also Axel Sartingen, because the gaps remain very, very similar as they head up towards the lighting gantry. We get the greens, and with 5.5 minutes remaining in this Ferrari Challenge Coppa race, let's go back to racing.
And von Skeltema has come into the pits. You can see him at the very left-hand side of your shot, so he's taking his drive-through penalty.
Good time to take it, to be fair. You know, it minimises his losses. Of course, he's going to have to catch up to the rest of the pack, but to do it under or just as the safety car has come in, that is an optimum time to take your drive-through penalty.
Yeah, and you can't take it under the safety car.
No.
Which be the optimal time in terms of time loss, but that at that time, pit lane is closed, so you're not allowed. And
it's as near as you can do it, isn't it?
Exactly, and that's generally why they don't announce penalties under the safety car. So Josef Schumacher, he is the one who is in the perilous position and waiting for that decision to come from race control. But for the moment, the race continues unabated, and he has just put in, or has put in, the fastest lap in the AMS. As Roger Groves is extending his lead at the very front, and Manuel Agostino is trying to overtake the Alexander Nussbaumer car. For the moment, they stay in P4 and P5 respectively, with quite a bit of gap to the top three, Groves, Kirchmeier and Sartingen.
Good to see Willem van der Vorm in the car behind Manuel Agostino. You can see the blue and yellow striped, day-glow striped car as Axel Sartingen explores the track limits there, certainly. There is the Willem van der Vorm car. So Willem back racing again, and very pleased to see him there. There's Thomas Loflad, and there indeed is our leader in Coppa, the green car of Motohiko Isasaki. So Isasaki, Schumacher and Ramelli, the top three in AMS at the moment, with 3.5 minutes of this race remaining. Manuel Agostino we're watching. Here is Roger Groves, who has really stretched his legs to a margin of 2.1 seconds since we got going once again. Axel Sartingen steadfast in that P3 position, and if anything is beginning to catch Ernst Kirchmeier now. So Axel Sartingen, of course, coached by Daniele Diamato. Fine racing driver, if ever there was one. And the relationship between Axel Sartingen and Daniele Diamato has been very, very strong, and he's strong, and there is no doubt about it. And Axel would say that he is a better driver for the coaching that he receives from Daniele.
Yeah, absolutely. And with 3 minutes remaining as Roger Groves takes the timing line, that means 2 more laps under normal race speed. For all these drivers, Motohiko Isazaki incidentally was P2 in the AM standings. Kirk Berwald was leading now. Berwald obviously doesn't take any points from that, and that 7-point deficit will turn, by all accounts, will turn into a lead for Motohiko Isazaki, and there is a penalty to be announced.
Yes, you're going to see it on your screen in a moment. It's car number 188. That is Josef Schumacher. And he is going to receive a 25-second time penalty for causing a collision. Now, that's going to drop him certainly out of the podium places. There it is on screen for you. So that will elevate, as it stands at the moment, Tommy Lindroth into a podium place P3.
And Giuseppe Ramelli will inherit P2. It actually drops Josef Schumacher because everybody's still bunched up after the safety car to the very back of the grid and very back of the pack. Once you apply those timings or those penalties to the timings that we currently have. So no points and no advantage for Josef Schumacher. Very unfortunate, obviously, no intention there. But it puts Motohiko Isazaki even more into the driver's seat than he already is.
I agree with you. And there you can see Axel Sartingen. And he's continuing to chase Ernst Kirchmeier, but Roger Groves, the speed he's got here at Spa-Francorchamps has really been proven, because from the safety cars, he's just been able to escape up the road. And I mean, he's, you know, to be fair to Race Art Kroijmans, they've engineered a great car for him. For him, he has had to pedal it. I accept that, but he's pedaling it with aplomb, because Ernst Kirchmeier normally, you know, you would expect him certainly to be on terms with Roger, and at the moment he really isn't. Now, part of that might be the conditions, which Roger might be enjoying perhaps more than Axel and Roger, who are running P2 and P3. Axel, of course, I would think has got a wise head on his shoulders, and he's thinking about the Drivers' Championship points situation, and that can part explain why he's not going to attack Ernst Kirchmeier too much, because Ernst isn't in the championship race. He, in fact, is out just to get the best results he can in any individual race like this one.
Absolutely, and I think for Ernst Kirchmeier, maybe the world final race at Mugello might be the big prize that he has his eyes on. And as you say, Axel Sartingen, he will be nervous because this lap, just don't make a mistake, just stay steady, and then he can celebrate that big championship that he was looking for this year. And there is Motohiko Isazaki. No harm done there, because there was the John Dillon car. John Dillon obviously in a different class, not trying to get involved in that battle is Motohiko Isazaki, because he just has to pedal it all the way to the finish line to take the championship lead.
And just to clarify, because you've been crunching the numbers here, if Axel Sartingen finishes in P3, you're saying that that's enough for the Drivers' Championship?
Yes, his lead before the race was enough if it stayed the same, so it would have had to come down significantly during that race. And since both Skeltema and Manuel Agostino are behind him, no points are being taken back or recovered by either of them, and therefore that will certainly be enough. And you will see it, I think, after the racing on the podium.
Okay, so we're on the final lap of this somewhat foreshortened Coppa race, brought about by safety cars. Roger Grols, Ernst Kirchmayr, Axel Sardigan, P1, 2, 3 for Coppa. For the Shell Am drivers, it's Motohiko Isasaki ahead of Josef Schumacher and Giuseppe Romelli, but Josef Schumacher picking up a big time penalty, which elevates Giuseppe Romelli to P2, and that means Tommy Lindroth will take P3 podium. So that's the way it looks. Here is our race leader, Roger Grols. There is P2, Ernst Kirchmayr, and there is P3, Axel Sardigan. Alexander Nussbaum, Manuela Koster, Willem van der Vorm, and Thomas Loflad occupy the P4, 5, 6, and 7 positions. In Coppa. The Coppa drivers with the yellow strip across the top of the windscreen, the AM drivers with the black strip across the top of the windscreen. That's how you can distinguish between the two categories that race together in Coppa. So final lap then, and Roger Grols, who's been very, very quick. He's built up a margin of some 3.2 seconds over Ernst Kirchmayr, and he's into the bus stop for the final time of asking. Out of the left-hander, and heading towards the lighting gantry, and of course the checkered flag, which is unfurled to confirm that Roger Grols wins from Ernst Kirchmayr, that takes P2. Axel Sardigan is flashing his lights furiously because it will be a championship, even though it's P3. And here comes Motohiko Isasaki, who is going to win for Coppa Shell Am. So Motohiko Isasaki crosses the line, and it's going to be Josef Schumacher that crosses the line in P2, but he will be dropped down the order because of a time penalty, which means Giuseppe Romelli goes to P2 and Tommy Lindroth goes to P3. So Grols, Kirchmayr, Sardigan, and the top three in Coppa. In Coppa Am, it's Isasaki ahead of Giuseppe Romelli and Tommy Lindroth. Cars all waiting then to shortcut the lap and get into Parc Fermé. And as I say, provisionally, Axel Sardigan has done enough to seal the championship. But here comes Roger Grols then, heading towards the Parc Fermé ahead of Ernst Kirchmayr, who takes that P2 position. And P3 for the 178 car of Axel Sardigan, which, as I say, means that he has done enough. So well done to Roger Grols from Kroijmans Race Art, who has done a good job there. And to be fair, did it in really difficult circumstances with safety car interventions. You know, they certainly weren't planned for. I mean, I have to say there was drama all around, because the race started under the threat of just this. Franz Freimann to congratulate Ernst Kirchmayr. There was just a little bit of rain around, a little bit of drizzle, I think, to be fair, rather than full-on rain. Yes, quite some drama right at the start of the race. So there is a very happy Roger Grols. Wrestling with the Pirelli baseball cap. Ernst Kirchmayr not wrestling quite as much with the cap. He's managed to get his on. So there is Ernst then, discussing with France's race engineer exactly how that race played out. And Carlo there is congratulating Ernst as well, which is nice to see.
Yes, champion!
Axel Sardigan, yes, 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 champion, he says. Jumps out of the car. He knew what he needed to do and delivered it. He is the 2023 champion, Axel Sardigan for Luik Sportiva Herta Racing.
Yeah.
So.
Fight now 4 years.
There is Ludovica, who is getting hold of Axel Sardigan now. Let's hear from the 2023
Axel,
champion.
Congratulations. What a day for you today. Wow.
Yeah, great. What else can I say? Yeah, champion is good. Feels good. I didn't do attack, but because I want to finish and have my podium.
Can I show it? It's beautiful. Beautiful.
It's nice. I really love it.
Congratulations again.
Thank you so much.
Daniele Diamato, whoever designed that T-shirt with Axel on the podium. Yes. Tommy Lindroth celebrating already because he's got a podium P3. But forgive me, I only caught a glimpse of the T-shirt. It looked like Axel Sardigan was on a moped.
Absolutely. And mark that day in the calendar because Axel Sardigan was speechless.
Yes, that hasn't happened too frequently, has it? Oh, heavens. Right, we're going to go to the pit show now while we recover ourselves.
Roger, congratulations. Today you made a perfect race until the start, from the start until the end. So can you tell us more about your race?
Yes, it was a perfect weekend until now. Tomorrow we try to do our best again. It was a fair battle. I believe the first corner was good, the start was good, the first corner was good. Okay, I get off first position, but I took the corner very close. So my exit was not that good. Ernst came up, and it was a decision I have to block him because two old guys above the 50 to go together to Eau Rouge is not a good option. So I could take the lead and yeah, finish the race after much accidents at first. So I'm very happy.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you also. Thank you.
Well done, Roger. Pleasingly, he's found his razor, you know. There was a time when Roger had grown a beard. Just thought I'd mention that. Coming up then, we'll be talking to Motohiko Isozaki. So Motohiko is not where he's supposed to be for the interview. Hang on, is that not my co-commentating colleague out there in his rental car?
No,
Oh, no,
I'm still here. I'm still here, sorry.
Here come the highlights, enjoy.
Well, there you go. Congratulations for today. You made a perfect race and you are very happy.
Yes, really. Maybe big lucky. Lane dry. I don't know where something, but very interesting. Sleepy and something, but many crash. So I won't say, this is the race, but fantastic. My life, #1 fantastic race. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ferrari. Thank you.
Thank you.
Arigato. Thank you.
Well done, Morihiko Sasaki, who quite clearly, English is not his first language. I always think he does very well, and he's a terribly nice gentleman, I have to say.
Arigato, as you said. Yes, very much so, and you could just sense the emotion.
Yes.
And he is now leading the championship by roughly 7 or 8 points. So that will be one more race to do at Mugello for the title. It's going to be interesting.
Yes, it is. Stand by, podium is next. So the podium is being prepared as we speak. Michele Mampelli will be up there ready to bring the drivers out onto the podium. The 3 drivers from each of the categories, Coppa and also Coppa. There we can see the car that finished P3 in Coppa. That is the car of Tommy Lindroth, the Goan Baron Motorsport driver. Coached, as we have mentioned more than once, by Fabien Volvent. And Tommy doing a very, very good job as well. Big smiles there from Carlo to the right-hand side of the picture. And just as I say, waiting for the podium to get underway. And just looking for Stefano Pellin as part of Pellin Racing, but I can't see him in that gaggle of Pellin officials. And there we can see podium still being prepared. And there's Frank Herta of Herta Racing, of course. He has engineered Axel Sarding to not only many, many victories, but now the championship as well. And it's richly deserved for Axel Sarding. So he's very, very happy about that. And here we can see the podium presentations. If you're listening to me right now, Daniele Diamato, I want one of those T-shirts. I think they look fantastic. And that's the voice of Ilaria, barking out the orders to the drivers to be in the right place at the right time. She works so hard behind the scenes. It's absolutely masterful. So Axel Sarding then, new champion, of course, takes P3. I love the shirts, Nico.
Second one on the podium.
Here comes Ernst then, taking P2.
And the winner is from Holland, Roger Grols.
And Roger Grols then to the top step of the podium.
Team manager, Kroijmans Racing, Marwin
And
Molen.
Kroijmans Racing will be represented on the podium as well as the team that engineered Roger Grols to that victory.
And now we are waiting for national anthem.
And time for the national anthem for Roger Grols to play out right now. So the anthem plays out, and Ferrari Global Head of Endurance and Corsa Clienti, Mr. Antonello Coletta, here to make the trophy presentations, and to Axel Sarding first of all. Now, of course, he'll receive the championship trophy at the Finale Mondiali event, but Axel Sarding has done enough by taking P3, taking P2. It's Ernst Kirkmeyer. Few trophies that man has got for racing, that's for sure. Well done, Ernst. And then on the top step of the podium, here comes the trophy presentation for Roger Grols. Well done, Roger.
From
So here come the photographs. There's Fabien Volvend.
Raise your trophy for photo. And,
so the trophy's there, held aloft as we see super slow-mo of our race-winning car, then engineered by Kroijmans Racer, driven by Roger Grolls, P1. So in terms of the Drivers' Championship points, as you can see, Axel Sardigan, his lead unassailable now by Fons Skeltermar, P2, and Manuel Agosner. I mean, there's only 1 point between those two, as you can see, for P2 in the championship, 73 points, place 72, and Alexander Nussbaumer is on 69 points. So, the podium places, if you like, for the championship are not done and dusted by any means, Nico.
No, and that will give us something to watch when we go to Mugello here in Coppa. Because Axel Sardigan is up the road, as we already established.
On his moped.
Indeed.
So, in terms of Drivers' Championship for the AM drivers, Motohiko Isazaki now leads by 9 points over Kirk Beervold, who of course had a DNF in that race, which is a great shame. And Henrik Kamstrup also had a DNF, P3 in that. So that played nicely into the hands of Motohiko Isazaki, who's been able to take advantage and is leading that championship. So we join the podium, and here comes Tommy Lindroth, making sure he's going to the right step, P3. Here comes Giuseppe Romelli, P2.
And the winner is from Japan, Motohiko Isazaki.
And Motohiko Isazaki then will go to the top step of the podium.
Team manager Cosmoto Shiba, Tukamoto-san.
So there we have it then. Time now for the national anthem.
Our claps for the winner podium, and the trophy are presented by Antonello Coletta.
So once again, Antonello Coletta, the Ferrari Global Head of Endurance and Corsa Clienti, making the trophy presentation. First of all to Tommy Lindroth, P3. I am here. Well done, Tommy. P2 will go the way of Giuseppe Romelli.
Second driver on the podium.
And then on the top step of the podium, very well done to Motohiko Isazaki. Very, very popular win, as you can see. And of course, the teams received the team's award as well for Cornes Motors Shiba.
Now, guys, all
together on the top step of the podium right now for the photographs.
And now, Tukamoto-san.
And there you can see the car that delivered that P1 for Motohiko Isazaki. So there we have it then. The Coppa race was somewhat affected by safety cars, but we're hoping that tomorrow, altogether, it will be a different race for the second race of the weekend for Ferrari Challenge Coppa. So as you enjoy these images from Nico and myself, thank you so much for watching. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.